Hello, my name is Ian Ratcliffe and welcome to another episode of Veramed Stories. Just to use your reminders before I welcome today's guests, if you enjoyed this podcast and you would like to be notified about the future episodes, please make sure that you subscribe, whether that be on Spotify or iTunes or whichever platform that you're using. Also, if you would like to find out more about Veramed, then please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you. Or you can simply have a look at our website, which is www.veramed.co.uk. Well, today I'm very pleased to welcome many guests. I think this probably is the record of how many guests we've had on this podcast. Most of the time it is just a one-on-one conversation. I think we've had 2 guests before, but we have 3 guests today. So these 3 wonderful people just come up to their 1-year anniversary after starting as a graduate in 2021. So we're going to talk today about what a graduate's first year has been like at Veramed. So I'm very pleased to welcome Nicole, Chantelle, and Joanna. So as we always do, we just get the guests to briefly introduce themselves. So Nicole, if you wouldn't mind going first, please.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Nicole. I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Surrey in Maths and Statistics. I then followed that with a medical statistics master's at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And I first heard about Veramed through my course leader's email. And I also met some Verameders at the PSI Careers Fair last March.
Great stuff. So when you went to the Careers Fair, was that the online version or was that face-to-face at that time?
Yeah, it was virtual at this point. It was probably 1 year after COVID hit.
That's a shame. I'm very pleased to see that event is back to face-to-face for this year. They've also moved it to December. I think it always used to be kind of like in the first quarter of the year that people would apply. Companies like to start their graduate recruitment process earlier every single year. So that's why I think the event has moved earlier. So, really, really great event. If anyone's listening to this and are thinking about embarking on a career in statistics or programming and you're at university, please try and get yourself to that event. It is really worthwhile. You get to speak to lots of fantastic companies, but you only want to speak to Veramed. That's the key thing. All right, thanks, Nicole. Joanna, can we come to you next, please?
I'm Joanna. I did my maths undergrad degree at the University of Nottingham and then did a medical statistics master's at the University of Leicester. And I heard about Veramed there was an email sent round to everyone on our course advertising the GTP. And then similar to Nicole, I also attended the online PSI Careers Fair.
Great stuff. And finally, Chantelle.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I graduated from University College London with a degree in statistics last year. And I'm currently doing my master's in medical statistics at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Last summer, I also did a research placement at UCL, and I found Veramed by looking at graduate schemes in the pharmaceutical industry.
Excellent. So you're doing your master's whilst working here at Veramed, is that right?
I am. So I work 4 days a week, and on my Fridays, I get to go into university.
Excellent. So you're still living that student life, kind of.
I am holding on to it for as long as possible.
Perhaps without all the partying in the middle of the week that I remember I used to do. Those were the days. Sadly, I don't do that anymore. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Obviously, we cannot start an episode of a graduate's first year without talking about the graduate training program, the GTP. We have spoken a little bit about this program on a few of the episodes, or we've had already, but it's always a nice topic to talk about because it is one of the things I think Veramed are most proud of. So can I just ask you all, how did you find a GTP and kind of what were your favorite parts? Joanna, let's go to you first this time.
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I think it was a really good way to start a career in this industry because the course covered both like the technical side of things, learning how to program, and then a more kind of general overview of the clinical trials process as well, like learning about the different roles that weren't necessarily our specific role. I also liked the fact that we started doing some study work partway through the GTP, so we were eased in nice and gently.
Yeah, that is always going to be good. We certainly don't want to chuck you into the deep end. Did you have like a practice study as well to work on as a kind of a first attempt?
Yeah, so during the graduate training program, we had a dummy study, which was a chance to try out the things that we were learning on a study, like a practice study, before actually doing on a real study, which was definitely a good thing. That meant that when we did start actual study work, we'd seen similar things before.
Yeah, it is a really nice, it kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. You're working on something which is just a bit of as a practice, and then you get assigned projects. How long roughly was it? About maybe middle of the way through the first 3 months that you were assigned to some initial projects? Is that about the right timeline?
Yeah, I think it was about halfway through the training program.
No, it is good how we do. I've seen it in the past where sometimes new starters, including graduates, get thrown onto projects a little bit too early, and it is difficult. So we definitely don't chuck you in the deep end too much. Chantelle, how anything further to add on your end regarding the GTP?
Yeah, I'd say that it was very informative. So we had presentations, and they were both, like Joanna said, technical, and we also had soft skills training. We were also given a textbook to work through that had loads of questions regarding how to use SAS. But I definitely think that one of my favorite parts in the GTP was networking within the company. So we had a lot of intro sessions, and it just made asking for help a lot less intimidating than I thought it would be when joining, especially as I'm really new to this industry.
One of the nicest things I see about the graduate program is the togetherness of the group, regardless of location. You'll have some for the UK scheme. Obviously, we have people. Some are in Twickenham, some are in Manchester, some are in Swansea, but they all work together and help each other out, whether it be the programming on the dummy study, or working through the SAS exercises. And also when you work on your first projects, it is really nice to see that people are happy to ask questions. And that's something we try to ensure that we kind of let the graduates know that it's okay to ask questions. It's not a sign of a weakness. It's a sign that you're willing to learn, which is excellent. Great, thank you. And Nicole, any highlights of the GTP for you?
Yeah, just echo what Chantelle and Joanna said. It was just really enjoyable, and I learned a lot. And it was a nice bridge between sort of leaving university and the university lifestyle to joining work, because it could be quite the adjustment. But I think my favourite part was sinking my teeth into SAS programming, and the dummy study really allowed you to do that. And there was room for error because it was a dummy study. And as you said, you weren't just thrown onto new study work with absolutely no prior knowledge.
Good stuff. I guess you had to meet lots and lots and lots of people. I remember the Veramed introduction sessions very well. I know as we grow as a company, I think we're having to think a little bit smarter about how we do this. Like, goodness knows how many people we have now, but I think it's unsustainable to have these sessions where you get to meet everybody. I think we're having to do something slightly different this year. I think for those who are giving the GTP training sessions, they're not including in themselves on those sessions, because they'll just introduce themselves as part of the training, just to kind of help that out a bit. Great. So obviously after the GTP, well, actually we've already discussed it's more middle of the way through the GTP, but moving on to after GTP, you're fully working on projects. It'd be great to hear a bit more about kind of what your role has been since the GTP, what types of projects you've worked on, and kind of any particular achievements that you're proud of. Chantelle, can we go to you first, please?
Yep. So I started in November on respiratory with one of our key clients. And around March time, I moved over to the infectious disease area within the same client. And that was working on a phase 1 study. The favorite part of my role so far has definitely got to be programming data sets with quite complex derivations, because I like a challenge, and also presenting in lunch and learns, where you get to pick a topic of your choice and present it to the wider company. Being someone who spent 2 years of her undergrad degree learning in the pandemic, I never got a chance to present in front of people. So I've really enjoyed being pushed to do that. For me, I think my biggest achievement, apart from presenting in front of people, was being nominated for the GEM and the Veramed Awards at the latest All Staff meeting.
Yeah, that is a really excellent achievement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Nicole, we'll just go to you next for this one.
Yeah, so I started on another of Veramed's key clients in the oncology therapeutic area. So I've been set to program different data sets and different statistical outputs on a mix of phase 2 and phase 3 studies. But I think the thing I'm most proudest of is that one of these studies, I had to program all the efficacy outputs from scratch. So this meant I could get really creative with my code, and there was a little problem solving with trying to translate statistical concepts that were requested into SAS. So yeah, it was good fun and I'm really proud of it.
It is amazing, kind of like the variety of opportunities you get as a graduate in your first year. And I hope that's what we're sort of displaying here. You might be working on some complex data set programming, or you could be working on some complex statistical analysis. So there's two varying kind of experiences already. A lot of it is just down to the project that you're assigned to. And I think a lot of the first year is you're trying to get an understanding of what, makes you tick. What do you enjoy? So we really do try and make a conscious effort to give everybody that variety. We don't want people just programming data sets all day, every day. We want to kind of maybe do that for a little bit, and then you switch up and try and do something else. Joanna, how about you then for your initial projects?
So a little bit different from Nicole and Chantelle. The first project I worked on was for one of Veramed's smaller clients, which was a respiratory study. And I had the opportunity to do quite a variety of different tasks with this client, which included some programming data sets from scratch. But I also annotated a CRF, which is a case report form used to collect data on a clinical trial. And I also did a bit of a literature search as well. And more recently, I've had the opportunity to learn the programming language R and have used that to program data sets from scratch. And I've really enjoyed that, being a bit different from learning SAS at the start of the GTP.
I'm really pleased you mentioned R, because we see the graduates come through every single year and all of them say that I can use R, which is great. But what we're really bad at in the industry, or what we have been bad at, and I think it is getting better, is using R in our day-to-day work. SAS programming, I think, has been the gold standard for a long, long time. But we are now seeing lots of companies, including Veramed, take advantage of people that are coming through with these R programming skills. So yeah, hopefully that continues in the future. Okay, just want to move on to kind of talking about non-project stuff. Now, as a graduate of Veramed, you're not just working on projects. There is tons of other activities you can get yourself involved in, lots of fun stuff. And the main reason we do this is to ensure that you're kind of embedding yourself within the Veramed culture, which is about, a fun family feel. So Joanna, do you want to just explain kind of the types of non-project stuff that you've been getting involved in?
Yeah, got involved in a couple of different things. So including the Culture Club, Veramed's Culture Club, which is a group who work on various different projects looking at keeping the Veramed culture. But that's been really nice, doing something a bit different to project work. And I've also volunteered to go on a first aid course for the workplace, which was also really nice to just do something very different to sitting at a desk, and was very informative and made me feel a lot more equipped to deal with an emergency if there ever was one in the workplace. I've also really enjoyed the social aspect of Veramed. There are so many socials that I feel like I've really had a lot of opportunity to get to know my colleagues very well, which is nice just to get to know people in general, but also just nice to know the people that you're working with. Yeah, and one of my particular favourite socials was an office games night where we played Mario Kart and board games.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, apart from the fact I wasn't very good at Mario Kart, so I kept losing. And I certainly hope that you never need to use the first aid course, but it's definitely a good skill to have. Excellent, thank you. Nicole, how about you for non-project stuff?
Yeah, it's been good. Like Joanna, I'm also part of the Culture Club. So it's quite nice to get to know people that you wouldn't necessarily meet in your project work. It's nice to have that variety. And there's no short of social life with Veramed. There's always something going on. Like Joanna said, it's games night. We did painting pottery. A couple of months ago, we went go-karting, and we had our weekend away, which was also really good fun.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We have another episode actually talking with Matt and Emma, and we speak an awful lot about the weekend away. We call it the Veraversary to celebrate 10 years of Veramed. Finally, Chantelle, then for non-project stuff.
Yep. So I am part of a team within Veramed called Coders Corner. And our aim as a team is to share programming tips with statisticians and also the programmers within the company. And we also like to set challenges every quarter to help people develop their skills. Outside of that, we've also got a really great running club that I'm a regular member of. And we also, as Nicole and Joanna said, host regular social events that are both in-line and in person. So it works a lot between offices as well as within your home office. So my favourite socials have been rock climbing, which we did at the Twickenham office, and also the weekend away.
I think that would be everyone's favourite social. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, just one final question, which I hope you can help perhaps the potential graduates out that maybe wish to join Veramed. What advice would you give to anyone who might be thinking about joining Veramed as a graduate in the future? Nicole, let's go to you first for this one.
Yeah, sure. I think my advice would be just to ask questions, ask as many questions as you can. I think it's definitely one of the best ways to learn, and it helps you increase your confidence, and the staff here are always so helpful and really handy. So yeah, definitely recommend doing that.
It is important. It is such a cliche, but there is no such thing as a stupid question. And that is so true. It doesn't matter. It might be a stupid question in reality, but it isn't. Because if you didn't ask that question, then you don't learn and you don't know for the future. So it is, I think it's the number one thing is asking for help or asking questions if you're not sure. I think that's the number one tip, certainly I have for new graduates. Chantelle, anything for you?
Yeah, so I would say that newcomers shouldn't be afraid to get stuck into the study projects that they're a part of, and to share ideas with their team, because even though you're new to the company, you're very much valued as a member of your team, and your experience can really help nurture the team as well.
Yeah, really, really good advice. And finally, Joanna.
My advice would be to say yes, because you'll be presented with lots of opportunities working here, and whether that's within your project work or things outside project work and socials. So yeah, just get involved and make use of the opportunities.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about saying yes. Tons of opportunities will come up to enhance your career, especially in your first year. All sorts of avenues you can go down. What I would say is also actually important to be able to say no as well, though, as a skill. In your first year as a graduate, you might think, I better just take on all these opportunities because I want to increase my experience. But Veramed take work-life balance very seriously too. So it's important to kind of have an idea of what is your, I guess, capacity. And sometimes some people might be like, oh, can you help out with this, please? Oh, it'd be great if you can help out. Sometimes you have to say, actually, I'm really busy on these other things at the moment. Not this time, really sorry. And that's really, really important skill to have as well. Good. All right. Well, thank you all. As always, I cannot let you go without doing the final quickfire questions. Now, what we normally do here is we ask everyone to say 3 words that best describe Veramed. Now, the audience will be pleased to hear that we're not going to do 9 words, 3 for each guest. We've got 1 each. So, Nicole, let's go to you first.
I think for me, it's probably community.
Great. And Chantelle?
I definitely have to say nurturing.
Awesome. And finally, Joanna?
Conscientious.
Great stuff. Thank you. And then the last question for you all, what is your favourite thing about working at Veramed? Nicole?
Definitely the people and the company culture that we have here.
And Chantelle?
I'd have to say the friendliness and development opportunities.
And last but very much not least, Joanna.
And that there are just so many opportunities to get involved with, whether that's project work or socials.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming on to the podcast. Well done for your first year anniversary at Veramed. Wish you all the very best for your futures at Veramed. And thank you to all those who tuned into this episode. See you next time.